Hello everyone. Good morning from Toulouse, good afternoon, good evening. A very warm welcome to us here at our Airbus Delivery Orders and 2017 debrief. This is Airbus headquarters in Toulouse, and it's a pleasure to welcome you to our 2017 Orders and Delivery debrief. For this one, I'm delighted to have our top executives here with us. You know them very well, Fabrice Bregier, John Leahy. Both gentlemen were relentlessly working over the Christmas period, and while John was touring the globe up and down, left to right, chasing up last-minute orders, Fabrice was overlooking the delivery teams who pumped out aircraft like baking bread. Today's press conference has two parts. In a moment, Fabrice and John will outline our 2017 orders and delivery performance to you, and in a second step, we will be pleased to take your questions. Of course, a video of this event will be made available on the Airbus YouTube channel, as well as in our newsroom, where you can equally find our press kit, our photos, biographies, everything what helps you to feature an attractive story. And of course, you can follow the social media conversations under the hashtag Airbus Results. That's enough from me. Now, Fabrice, let's turn to our review. What were the highlights in 2017?
Thank you, Stefan. And well, first of all, hello everyone, and I wish you all the best for 2018. A very successful and very good year, happy year for everybody. 2017 was quite a challenge. You know the challenges we faced on many programs. And December was very challenging. But at the end of the day, what counts is the results. And I'm very pleased to say that we met our targets. And 2017, again, demonstrates an additional ramp-up in deliveries in production. And we have delivered, Stefan, 718 aircraft in 2017. It means that for the 15th consecutive year, Airbus is increasing its production. And when we look at what we did, we delivered 30 aircraft more than in 2016, despite difficult situations until November on the A320neo. We'll probably come to that. And it means that we have increased the production by about 4%. So I think this is a very good result. When we look at the 15 last years, the growth is a factor of 2.4. It means that the year-on-year growth for the deliveries of Airbus for the last 15 years is 6%. So, John, I did better than you because the market trend is only 4.5 to 5% year-on-year.
Fabrice, that's really good to hear. What are the headline figures for each program?
Let's start with the A350. A350 was the second challenging year in terms of ramp-up. You remember 2016, the challenge was to deliver 50 aircraft. We delivered 49, but it was a troublesome year with a lot of problems, especially on the cabin equipping of this aircraft due to the poor quality of cabin equipment. In 2017, the challenge was to ramp up industrially. And this is what we did. And we achieved 78 aircraft, which is well on track with the challenge, which is to achieve 10 aircraft a month at the end of 2018. So this program, I think, is the most successful ever ramp-up in the aerospace industry. This is very complicated to ramp up the productions. We can see it with our competitors, and especially with a new technology, wide body like that. I think it's tick in the box. It means that the A350 will become a very boring program as far as we are concerned on an industrial basis. But it is also the year of the certification, both by FAA and EASA, of the A350-1000. So now we have a complete family with the 900 and the 1000, all new aircraft which are well ready to progressively increase their market share, and especially the -1000 will be the vector of growth for Airbus when it comes for the airline to replace the 777-300ER, meaning probably after 2020.
On single aisle, we had equally ambitious plans, Fabrice. What can you tell us there?
On single aisle, it was supposed to be less ambitious, and it became extremely ambitious, and everybody knows the reason. The reason is simple. Without engines, it's difficult to deliver aircraft. John tried very hard, but missed a few targets and opportunities. So, what did we do? First of all, we worked very closely with the engine manufacturers. We have to admit that producing GTF, producing LEAP, NEO engines is a hell of a challenge because it is tons of new technologies there. And we worked with them. We knew that it would be backloaded. We also faced the reality, especially with Pratt & Whitney, when we had customers unhappy because of lack of spares. So we voluntarily reduced the output of NEOs. However, globally, we delivered 181 NEOs, which is close to the minimum target of 200 that we had set at the beginning of the year. So we managed to catch up. There are 73 Pratt & Whitney aircraft and 100, if I have the number correct, 108 CFM engines. So overall, not a bright performance, but close to the target at the end of the year. And thanks to our performance on the CEO and also additional deliveries to new customers on the CEO, we managed to deliver 13 aircraft more than 2016, so 558 aircraft, which is, I think, a very good achievement.
What is about the rest of our wide-body family, the A330neo as latest development or the A380?
A330, the good news, we promised it to the market, is that we have managed to stabilize the deliveries. So we delivered 67 of these A330 CEOs, and we have also started the flight test campaign of the A330neo. We started it with a bit of delay because the engine was not ready, but we have logged right now, I think, 230 flight hours, which demonstrates that this program is on track to be certified around summer with the first deliveries to our launch customer, TAP. So 2018 will be a transition year between the CEO and the NEO. We will certify also later the second version of the family, the 300-800 with a longer range. And I think this aircraft will maintain an excellent leadership together with the A350.
On the A380?
On the A380, we have a commercial challenge. I'm sure that John will cover it. My job was in 2017 to prepare the ramp down of the production. So we have delivered as planned 50 aircraft, but we know that the trajectory will be to go lower. We'll deliver 12 aircraft as planned in 2018, and I can confirm today that we can have an industrially robust process to deliver down to 6 aircraft a year. So the challenge will be for us to maintain at least this level of industrial output in the years to come before taking advantage of a replacement of the A380s and potentially new markets.
Thanks very much, Fabrice. That was a lot of great information. We'll come back to you shortly. Now, John, you are the salesman. What were the highlights for you in 2017?
Well, we sold some airplanes, Stefan. So let's take a quick look at how things turned out in 2017. And a special thanks and greetings to my friends in Seattle who are staying up very late on this holiday weekend to see what our numbers are. And I think both manufacturers did pretty well this year. We had a very, very impressive December, as you can see. An awful lot had to get done by the end of the year. After all, I am retiring, so we had to make sure it didn't slip into the next year. But we came out with a grand total of 1,109 aircraft. And that's on a net basis. This is the December number. Now, you put that in perspective based on what Boeing has already announced, and you can see that in terms of units, we have 55% market share on a net basis, of course, and in terms of revenues based on published catalog prices on the Boeing website and the Airbus website, you get 51% in terms of value. If you look at it in the categories, you can see we're sitting there at just about 60% in single-aisle market share, 25% 55% wide-body market share. And as Fabrice said, it's been challenging in the 380 and 747-8 market. Not very many orders there. In fact, Boeing lost 2 and we lost 2. But 1 year doesn't make a trend in this industry, and I think that's what you have to look at. If you go back for the last 10 years, we're very proud of the fact that in 9 out of those 10 years, we outsold our competition. We think that's quite the achievement. That's 53% of all the orders on a net basis over that 10-year period. Now, if you look at it in the single-aisle category, you can see that we're doing pretty well, 7 out of 10 years, and 54% of all the orders in that 10-year period were for Airbus. But now, here's the story that I'm sure a lot of people are interested in, wide body. And I saw some questions coming in already saying, what happened to your position in the wide bodies? Well, I think our position is pretty good. 1 year does not make a trend. Things go up and down. If you look at the last 10 years, 7 out of the last 10 years, we outsold our competitor in wide body sales. I don't think very many people know that, but that's a matter of fact. 50% on a passenger basis over the last 10 years. 50% market share for Airbus wide bodies. Now, someone will say, well, there's a trick in there. It says only passenger aircraft. Well, if you throw in freighters, and Boeing does do a lot of freighters, it becomes 47%, 47 point something over the last 10 years. So the fact is we are well positioned in wide body. We are stunningly positioned in the single-aisle market. And now deliveries, I don't need to spend too much time on that because Fabrice already talked about it, but we're at 48% market share right now. That's very close to 50%. And if you look at our production plan, our deliveries over the last 20 years, you can see that we're really trying to keep this as smooth as possible. If you go over to Seattle, you can see that they jump up and they go down. You look at the left-hand side of that chart, from the peak in deliveries just before 9/11 till a couple years later, they dropped by more than 50% in terms of deliveries. We're not in a position to do that. We don't want to do that. Here's our production line again. So if you look at it, when we go through recessions, we tend to flatten out. We don't go up and down and lay people off the way other manufacturers do. So you look at the right-hand side of that chart, and you can see that we're catching up in terms of deliveries for quite a few years. Down in the middle of the chart, you can see in 2004, 6, 7, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, we were out-delivering Boeing, and we're going to do the same thing in a few years. In fact, it might even start next year. We have the orders. It's just a matter of time. And if you look at those orders and deliveries in the last years, the book-to-bill is enormous. We have basically a backlog of 3,800 aircraft over the past 10 years alone. And that's interesting when we talk about backlog. If you go back just 10 years ago, we had a 50-50 backlog. The size of the pie shows the size of the backlog. It increased by, it basically doubled, 1.9 times. But look what happened to the shares. We went up by 2.1 times. The other guy went up by 1.7. So we increased our backlog market share to 55%. This is the reason why. The product line. Let's take a look at the single-aisle market. That's the one where we're winning about 60% of all the orders out there. And it's not, Stefan, because we have the best sales team. It's because we have the best product. This airplane outsells the competition because of what it is, what it can do. Look at the interior. We've got wider seats. We have wider aisles. We have more overhead bin space. Look at the new bins that we're putting into the market right now. You put the roller bags on their side, and look how many you can put in there. 60% more bins more bags in the bins than the competition. Now that's an impressive number. And look at the A321neo, nonstop across the ocean. Think about that. Nonstop from New York to Paris. We don't need to talk about a middle-of-the-market airplane. We have a middle-of-the-market airplane. It's called the A321, and if you want a wide-body twin, it's called the A330. So let's look at that A330 right now. 1,700 orders, about 1,400 deliveries, 300 aircraft in backlog. The A330neo, first flight in 19th of October of this past year. We should be delivering it in the spring with certification. We look at the airplane. It can do what a 787 can do. In terms of the 787-8, 787-9, maybe a little bit short of range, but other than that, we have similar fuel burn, we have similar economics, we have a beautiful A350 interior, and more importantly, we have $25 million lower capital cost net in most negotiations I see around the world. And that really gets the airline's attention. And then, of course, the A350 XWB, 854 orders, 142 deliveries, 712 aircraft in backlog. Remember the 777-300? It was the airplane that everybody said was doggone perfect. Well, it just got even more perfect with the A350. It does everything that airplane does in a wider seat, which, Stefan, we all need from time to time. The beautiful wide seat, 25% lower fuel burn. A much lower cabin altitude, more fresh air, higher humidity. This is the airplane that's going to be the 777-300 of the future. And then, of course, we have the certification. We don't need to talk about that. Fabrice already did, but we can get to the A380. And this is an airplane, I assure you, whose time will come. 317 orders. We've delivered over 200 aircraft already, 95 in backlog. And why will its time come? For a lot of reasons. One is congestion. Every 15 years, air traffic doubles. Every 15 years. You're not going to double the number of flights going into Heathrow, or Frankfurt, or Charles de Gaulle, or JFK, or LAX, or Hong Kong, or Beijing. So if people want to fly, they need to fly in bigger aircraft. And it just so happens we have the aircraft they want to fly in. The most comfortable airplane flying today. That's a combination whose time is coming very, very shortly. But of course, we have to get from here to there, and we're talking to a few key airlines right now to get from here to there. Fabrice talked about production rates down to about 6. Yeah, I think we need something like that, 6 to 8, and we can sell at that level going forward until the market really picks up, and then I'd like to see us back to 25 a year, but that'll take a few more years from now. The airplane is the airplane that passengers love around the world, and that pretty much wraps up our product line. An Airbus airplane takes off or lands somewhere in the world every 1.4 seconds, led by the flagship, the A380.
Impressive figures, John, especially when we think about where we are coming from for some 50 years now. Going back to our outlook, Fabrice, what can you say us there?
I think, Stefan, that 2018 will see a bigger ramp-up of our deliveries. There is a small caveat, which is that we will get the Neo engines according to the commitments. I am much more confident on this one. If I take Pratt & Whitney, we have clearly managed to go through the toughest times for them. In other terms, now we have engines which will come with the 2 technical fixes which were causing problems to our customers. So all the engines which will be delivered for 2018 will have incorporated these fixes. You remember this famous seal, the bearing-free seal, and also the combustion chamber lifetime. They are behind us. And I have every confidence that Pratt & Whitney will do everything possible to achieve the industrial ramp-up. It's not easy, but it's less difficult than having technical issues. Regarding CFM, they went through some difficulties during summer and just after summer, but they demonstrated their reactivity, their professionalism. So again, I'm confident that they can deliver. And if they do that, this is very simple. We'll more than double the number of NEOs. You can see that in 2017 we delivered about 1/3 NEOs, 2/3 CEOs. probably would be closer to 2/3 NEOs, 1/3 CO in 2018. These are the plans. And if we do that, we will get close to 800 deliveries in 2018.
That's impressive, Fabrice. That was a lot of great information. Now let's come to the second part, your questions. Before getting there, if you have registered, you can submit your questions at any time through the Q&A box on your screen. Or, if you prefer, you can ask your question live directly into the studio via the operators. Please dial 01 on your telephone now if you want to enter the queue, and 02 if you feel your question has already been addressed and you wish to cancel it. Once your name has been announced, you can put forward your question. But please turn down your speakers at home to avoid echo and noise. And please clearly state your name and your media affiliation and make it short. We have a lot of you guys waiting in the queue, and we would like to accommodate as many of you as possible. So let's get started right away. The first question is coming from Network Thoughts. And the question is, if we wouldn't have had the A320neo engine problems, how many engines would we have delivered?
How many airplanes would we have?
How many aircraft would we have delivered? Yes.
Well, what I can say is that we had up to 60 gliders on the tarmac, both in Toulouse and Hamburg, and we finished the year with close to 30. Does it mean we would have delivered these 30? I believe so, if we had got the engines as promised. So it gives you an order of magnitude of the industrial potential of Airbus in 2017. It means that the big increase I mentioned for 2018 incorporates, of course, these 30 gliders, which are supposed to get engines very soon.
Do we have a question coming in by phone? Not there yet. Then we take the next question is coming in from Charles Reed, the economist. If Emirates does not order the A380, will Airbus shut down the program?
What I can say is that we will never produce whitetails, clearly, but there are other potential customers beyond Emirates. It is clear that Emirates is key for the long-term future of this program. Then, John, I think we can say that we are still talking to Emirates.
We're still talking to Emirates, but quite honestly, they're probably the only one who has the ability right now in the marketplace to take a minimum of 6 a year for a period of 8 to 10 years, and then we can add some on top of that. So quite honestly, if we can't work out a deal with Emirates, I think there is no choice but to shut down the program. But I'm hopeful that we'll work out a deal with Emirates, and others can add airplanes on top of that.
Hard words, John, but let's hear. Jan Koschnik, Air Cosmos, has the next question. Do you confirm that we will ramp up A320s to rate 63, that's tricky, in 2020? And what will be the mobile role?
Well, the decision that we have announced to the market, and this is already a challenge for the teams to achieve it, is to achieve by mid-2019 60 per month. Can we go higher than that? You have here, I believe, two strong advocates that we can deliver much more aircraft, much more NEO aircraft, thanks to this great success of the family and the commercial performance of John's teams, than 60 a month. The challenge will be for Airbus to look into the potential, not just at airframe level, but of course engine levels, and I think this is one of the challenges for 2018.
Next question is coming in by phone from Robert Wall. Good morning, Robert. What's your question?
Hey, one quick one for John and one for Fabrice, real quick. Just Fabrice, just to clarify, when you said the 6 A380s, is that then the plan? You are going to 6. I mean, you said you could do it economically. I just want to make sure that is the 2018 number. And John, why do you think 17 was stronger in orders than you expected a year ago? Thank you.
Hi, Robert. Well, what I can say is, so in 2018 we will deliver 12 A380s. In 2019 we will deliver 8 A380s. Then I was projecting Airbus in the longer term. You know that production is flexible with limits. So we went through the exercise internally with the supply chain. My teams did a great job, and we came to the conclusion that we needed a minimum of 6 aircraft a year to maintain industrially an efficient production line. So this is what I wanted to convey as a message. I think it's positive because this is a challenge which I believe can be met with difficulties, but we are not looking for big quantities of A380 during this more difficult period for a very large aircraft.
The next question is coming in from Vincent.
Wait a minute.
Sorry.
Robert wants to ask another question, which I believe he already asked, so I'll answer that one. The market is just stronger, Robert, everywhere. The stock market is stronger. The economies of the world are all, firing at the same time in the right direction. IATA is telling us that air traffic should be about 7% up, about $35 billion in terms of industry profits for 2017. Yeah, and airplane orders are stronger than we thought at the beginning of the year, and it should spill off into 2018. We would think we'll still maintain a book-to-bill of 1.
Thanks, John. Vincent Lamigeon from the French Challenge magazine has the next question. He has the feeling the A350 is not selling very well and asks the question if the A350 2000 would help.
No, Vincent, good morning for you. I don't think that the A350 is not selling very well, but you remember that our challenge was that we had a backlog of 800 and we started from scratch. So now we are much more confident that we can deliver aircraft around 2020 and beyond. So this is the point. Second point, I have always questions. Is the 350-1000 a good aircraft because you don't sell it very, very well? My message is very simple. We didn't certify it until the end of last year. So why should we take additional risk on top of the big ramp-up of a 900? This aircraft would be fantastic. This aircraft, as John mentioned, will reduce by 25% the fuel burn of a 777-300ER. So it means that when we have this replacement wave, we'll have a huge opportunity. And my last point, Vincent, will be that we studied a stretch of the Dash 1000. But we have to be consistent. We cannot say that the market for the very big aircraft is right now difficult and that we launch the 2000. Let's focus on 900, 1000. Let's continue to improve this brand new family. There is extra potential which was extracted by Boeing on the 787 and which is still present for us to capture in the next 4 or 5 years. And then we will see, and probably when there is a new generation of engines, we will be able to question whether we can stretch again the 350. And the good news is that we studied it and it is possible.
The next question is reaching us by phone from Austrian ORF broadcast station, Kurt Hoffmann. Kurt, what's your question?
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Good morning. Good to talk to you. Just a short question regarding the wide-body market outlook. I know, like John said, there's always a time that you sell more or less aircraft. But when you see an upcoming trend again for your wide-body aircraft?
Well, I think we'll continue to have good sales on the wide-body aircraft. And as I showed you in those charts, we've been doing pretty well, about 50-50 with our competitor in wide-body sales over the last 10 years. And I believe if you look at that chart, you should have it in front of you, 3 of the last 5 years, we outsold our competitor in wide-body sales. So it should maintain some good momentum. I've got about, I don't want to talk about deals. Not only is it upsetting to the airlines in negotiation, but it's probably bad luck too. But the fact is, we've got about 3 wide-body deals that I would hope we could sign within the next 30 days to maximum 60 days. In fact, watch this space. The end of a year is sort of an arbitrary point. There are ongoing campaigns that should be closed and announced very shortly.
The next question is for Fabrice, coming in online from Alex Scheban, Aviation Media. What are the next steps in the C-Series partnership?
Well, C-Series, we managed to have a great agreement with Bombardier. It means that the C-Series aircraft family, which is very complementary to the A320, will be managed by Airbus as part of the Airbus family. And what counts now is to go through the regulatory process, and our advisors tell us that the deal might probably be closed the second half of 2018. So before that, of course, Bombardier are promoting the C-Series, and we are not involved in that, but beyond, I think there is a huge potential.
The next question comes from Gulf News. John, I think that's for you. What does the Middle East market mean to us? Can we give some numbers, 2017, outlook into 2018? Middle East market.
The Middle East market is a strong market, and it's recovering. I think it's no secret that oil prices are moving back up again. I think Brent in U.S. dollars is very close to $70 a barrel right now, and it looks like it might be creeping up from there. The economies tend to be on the mend. Airlines are doing better, as they are around the world. So we see a lot of potential in the Middle East, and not just for A380s.
The next question is coming from Peter Ricketts, the Asia Pacific Aerospace magazine. If Boeing goes ahead with the 797, will Airbus develop a competitor beyond the A321 long range?
You know, as I said in my presentation, this becomes annoying. What are you going to do about the middle of the market? Well, we only have about 90% market share in the middle of the market right now. The A321 outsells its competition by about 4-1. We have the A330, if you want a wide body with a common cockpit, is well in that market. We dominate that market. I can understand why our friends in Seattle are talking about the middle of the market and we must do something. But we're pretty relaxed right now. We don't need to do anything. We think the airplanes that we have are very, very good competitors.
Thanks, John. The next question is reaching us by phone, coming in from Stefan Iglesias from Radio France. Stefan, your question, please.
Next question.
Mr. Iglesias, your line is open.
As long we wait for Stefan's question, maybe, John, you can tell us, will you increase list prices again this year?
Absolutely. Didn't we also release that a few minutes ago?
Will be released shortly.
Okay, it's 2%.
Okay.
All right, and we are raising prices by 2%, which, by the way, is a little bit less than our competitor, but not much less. But the airlines, in this strong demand, understand that we do need to raise prices, and we think 2% is more than fair.
Do we have now the question from Stefan Iglesias?
Is it a problem for the future of Airbus?
Please.
Could you please repeat your question?
Okay, we have here connection problems. Then let's go for the next question. It's coming in from Alex Maceras online. What's the latest on the A350 extended winglets?
Well, I think he refers to a flight test which took place, and we are testing technology, so we don't intend to change the winglet of the A350. Perhaps I could say as a kind of joke that in 2008 we flew the GTF prototype on an A340, and we didn't intend to re-engine the A340 with a GTF. So this is our normal job to flight test technologies time to time, and perhaps one day they will be incorporated in one of our many programs at Airbus.
We have now received the Stefan Iglesias questions online. It's the question on the management change and if it would threaten the future of Airbus.
No, I don't think so. And by the way, I would like to thank very much John for what he did supporting Airbus, and especially since I joined and I took over as CEO, the performance of Airbus is largely connected, yes, to the quality of our products, but also to the talent of John and his teams and the proximity with our customers. Having said that, this is in groups normal that we change time to time the top management. I have been very happy to lead, in a way or another, Airbus for 11 years and companies of the group for now more than 20 years, as I took over my first big responsibility on the 6th of January 1998 as CEO of what is now MBDA, the missile company. So you see that there is a potential of new managers in the group. Guillaume Fauré will take over and has demonstrated his skills. He will give probably his own view to the future of Airbus. This is probably time for me not to retire, John, but to look for other challenges. And I think Airbus has the teams, the strength. Look at the deliveries. We delivered 127 aircraft in December. John, you will be happy. It means a production rate year on year, if we could maintain that, of 1,500 aircraft.
And I don't understand why we can't. If we can do it in December, we can do it for 12 months.
Do you think it's me who did that? Yes, I organized, but it's Didier Evra, it's the program team, it's the flight test teams of Patrick Duché, it's everybody at Airbus. In Tianjin, we delivered 50 aircraft. In Mobile, we achieved rate 4 as planned everywhere. So this potential doesn't depend on me, doesn't depend on anybody, and this is the real strength of Airbus.
And thanks, Fabrice. And it's exactly on this where we get the next question coming in from Dow Jones, Julian Marion. If we are, the Airbus executives are confident about the execution of the increase in deliveries.
Are we confident of the increase?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. How we do it?
I think we can be reasonably confident with, again, the risk which is connected to the availability of the neo engines. We need to flag up this risk because it's still a real one. Probably more on the ramp-up industrial part than on the technical issues of the engines. Okay? But if we get these engines, I believe there is no reason why we could not ramp up the A320 to deliver close to globally 800 aircraft. The ramp up of the A350 is largely behind us, and I confirm that it's no risk to achieve rate 10 by the end of 2018. The transition of the A330 will be done seamlessly, meaning that we still maintain rate 6, yes, a month in 2018. And regarding the A380, I'm not pleased with the ramp down, but this is controlled, and especially with the 12 aircraft that we are supposed to deliver in 2018. So I am not the outgoing guy saying now everything is perfect, you just push the button, it will deliver. There will be challenges, as always, at Airbus, but these challenges are manageable. And I will tell you something else. I bet that in 2020, we will deliver more aircraft than Boeing.
We take that bet, Fabrice. We have the next question coming in from Bruno Trevedik from Les Echos. Did you already offer an industrial partnership for the A380 to China, and what could it be?
No, I think it's premature. We enjoy great relationship with China for a simple reason. They acknowledge that we were the first one to move massively to an industrial cooperation with the assembly line of the A320 in Tianjin. By the way, I come back from China and I signed the extension of this partnership to move from 4 aircraft to 6 aircraft a month from Tianjin. In September, we signed also, it was the opening ceremony of the A330 wide-body completion and delivery center. So they know that we are open to an industrial cooperation, for instance, on the A380. But the challenge is more commercial. We need to convince the airlines that they can increase their market share, they can increase tremendously their image buying VA380 and operating them from big Chinese hubs. Chinese market will be the biggest one in the world, and I believe that the biggest market deserves the biggest aircraft.
Thanks, Fabrice. The next question comes in from Avioradar. Will the CS300 replace and shut down the A319neo? Maybe, John, that's something for you.
Certainly not at this point. And once again, we shouldn't be really talking too much about that. As Fabrice said earlier, we are still competing with Bombardier in the C-Series. It's no secret that we're doing pretty well competing with Bombardier in the C-Series. So let's wait until we buy the program, maybe by the end of 2018, and then we can talk about how it fits into the product line. But right now, I don't see any reason why it would replace the 319.
Thanks very much, John. I think that was a lot of useful information. Let's conclude this press conference. But let me remind you, all the material, the video of this webcast, the press kit with orders and delivery tables, every information you need is available under airbus.com in the newsroom section. Also, you can still follow the social media conversations under the hashtag Airbus Results. Thank you all for joining us here today. Thank you, Fabrice. Thank you, John. We will see many of you again at the Singapore Air Show or at our full year disclosure, February 15, here in Toulouse. Until next time, au revoir, adios, and auf Wiedersehen.
Okay.